guys, well the XV1000 motor has been totally stripped now, and we're now into the stage of cleaning and inspection. So I've got the two cylinders and the pistons have been cleaned up on the bench, and I've just been measuring the bores and measured the bores, and it's a 95mm bore, and you've got a 0.1 of a mil tolerance, and I'm getting 95.05 on the mics. So yeah, 95.05, which that means it's still in, the bores are still within tolerance. I probably will hone the bores. There's a little bit shiny there. And the other thing to check is the piston ring gap, which involves just inserting one of the pistons into the bore, placing your piston in to keep the ring nice and square, and then measuring the end gap with a feeler gauge, and measuring the gap there, and I've got about 0.7 of a mil on the end gap, and the end gap ring end gap is 0.3 to 0.5 mil. So the rings are a little bit worn. They're 0.2 of a mil over the 0.5. So I'll probably get a new set of rings, hone the bores, and then when we look at the heads, I'll do the valves up as well, and new cam chains as well. Okay, I've got, just inspecting the crankshaft here. I've got it, the crankshaft mounted in the lathe, just supported. First thing I've done is mark the conrods and the crankshaft, because you don't want to get these mixed up. This is the front shaft, and this is the rear one. So I've just put one dot on each big end half and onto the crankshaft. Same with the rear one. I put two dots on there, two dots on there, and two dots on there. The next thing I did was check the end clearance in the between the conrods and the crankshaft, and I got a measurement of 0.406, and the book called for crankshaft was 0.37 to 0.4704. So I've got 0.406, which still keeps me in tolerance on the end play there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'll remove the rear one first. And the next one. Just give these a little tap with a soft hammer. Okay, there we go. Didn't take much. You just gently pull this cap off and have a look. And wow, they look pretty good. I'll measure them. But you can see that they look in pretty good nick, those shells. But we'll get some plastic gauge in there and just check them. I'm quite happy with that. Looks very nice. So we've got the dots on there too as well, so we don't get these muddled up. And up comes the front one. bolt just disappeared out of the hole there. And there's one of the slight little mark on that hole there. We'll pick up it. Now these two look in pretty good condition. Crankshaft looks beautiful. So I'll just put this back in here with the tab lining up there. And again we've got our centre pop to align with, like that. Get a nut on there, and I'll go and retrieve that other bolt. Just about to check the connecting rod ball bearing clearance, and they're calling for a clearance of 0.030 millimeters to 0.054 millimeters. So what I'm going to use to check that is some plastic gauge. So I've broken off a piece of plastic gauge. You can see it's very, very fine. I'm just going to lay that into the crank, on top of the crank like that. Now I'm going to put the conrod on. So here's our conrod. Just put that underneath, like so. And, all nice and clean. So I'm just putting that on top of the plastic gauge. I now fit the second conrod. Like that. And get the cap on. Trying not to move these, it's hard, but you really don't want to move it. Okay, the next thing to do is to tension these up to 48 Newton meters. Okay, that's that one done. Do the other one. Once we've tensed them up, we then take it off and check the pattern of the plastic gauge against the gauge. Okay, that's that one. Yep. Okay, they're all tight. So now we take them back off. And there's our pattern. So just checking this with the gauge that comes with the plastic gauge. You've got 0.025 to 0.076. If you look at the 0.038, that lines up pretty well with the imprint of the plastic gauge. We go to 0.035, and that's a little bit too narrow. We got a reading off the cap. So I've got a good reading off the cap here. Now look at that, we're down to 0.25, and that's too big. And again, look at 0.38 is there, it's not bad, and that's 0.5, which is too less. So it is roughly 0.038 clearance. So I'm happy with that.